So through the Facebook page, Kathy starts gathering all of these stories. And the story that she pieces together is that according to Andrea, baby Alexis, now Andrea's adopted parents, Andrea/Alexis ran away from home. One day, she stole some money from them, grabbed some clothes from them, or grabbed her own clothes and disappeared. And the parents reported her missing. And this is 21 years ago that they reported her missing, and they never heard from her since. Nobody has heard from her since. This is the story that Kathy is able to piece together from people, friends of her missing daughter that she gave away for adoption, friends and family members of her on this Facebook page. Okay. So also according to the story and according to the adoptive parents the story that she garners from all these people, according to the adoptive parents, Andrea, their adopted daughter, was an angel. She was a model child the whole entire time that she was growing up until she hits age 12, 13. Suddenly, she completely changes. She starts acting out. She starts becoming a problem. And this, at 13, is when she runs away. Okay? Now, what else happened when Andrea turned 13? This is another aspect of the story that we find out. You know what else happened? Andrea's adoptive mother got pregnant. Naturally. Miraculously. After having tried for all those years, she miraculously gets pregnant. This, my friends, was my first red flag. My spidey senses started tingling immediately when I heard this. So you mean to tell me the story that you spinning is that this little girl was great until she turned 13? Until suddenly you became pregnant with your own natural child? First red flag. So it takes 3 years for the DNA to come back to Kathy, the DNA test, okay? 3 years for them to get this DNA test. So while she's gathering all this information, she's waiting for this DNA, and the DNA comes back. And y'all, it is not a match. It is not a match, which is wild because in the documentary, they show a picture of the Jane Doe. They show her face with her eyes open and everything, which I was like, this is a little sus. Did you get permission to do this? But I don't know. But the Jane Doe had died about 7 or 8 years after. So she was older. She was like in her early 20s. But the ages matched up with Andrea, the adopted daughter, right? And the picture that they showed of this Jane Doe, when I tell you I will put my hand on a stack of Bibles, I ain't even a Christian, but whatever, you get the point. I will put my hand on a stack of Bibles and tell you that was that girl. That was her as a 20-year-old. I mean, they could have been twins. They could have been twins. It was eerie how much she looked like Andrea, but it turns out she was not Andrea. The DNA did not match. Okay? The DNA does not match. And so now, Kathy, the internet sleuth who's trying to find out where her biological daughter is, she has decided, she is determined, now that she knows that dead Jane Doe is not her daughter, she's going to find her daughter, she's going to find out where she is, and she's going to find out what happened to her. And so she gets to internet sleuthing like a motherfucker. She's putting out feelers, and that's when she finds Meta McLeod. Okay? Meta McLeod is a girl from the town that Andrea was from, and a girl who went to the same school as Andrea had gone. But she was a few years younger than Andrea, so she didn't have any information about Andrea. However, she did have a story to tell, and she felt like her story might have a connection to the disappearance of Andrea. And she tells this story, this wild story about how when she was 6 years old, which is around the same time as when Andrea disappeared, okay, when all this is going on, when she was 6 years old, she was abducted by a man in her town, in the same area that Andrea went missing. She was abducted. And this man drove her into the woods. And when they got into the woods, he forced her to get undressed and he sexually assaulted her. And she tells the story of how all she remembers is this man standing over her, taking off his pants when she hears people in the background. And the guy freaks out and he pulls up his pants and he gets the hell out of there and leaves her. Okay? And she could never, ever find who this man was, right? And she herself is doing her own investigation, okay? She herself is doing her own investigation. And so that's why she reaches out to Kathy, Andrea, baby Alexis's biological mother. She's like, look, I don't have any information, but I feel like these two cases might be connected. And so Alexis's mother, baby Alexis, Andrea, her mother, her biological mother, Kathy, reaches out to Meta and they connect. And Kathy sends Meta a picture of Andrea with her family, with her adopted family. And Meta looks at that picture and she recognizes the father, the adopted father of Andrea. That is the same man who decades earlier kidnapped her and took her into the freaking woods, y'all. Andrea, aka baby Alexis, her adopted father, is the same man that Meta says abducted her when she was 6 years old. And remember, folks, Andrea has been missing for 21 years.